Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have 4 single serving dessert recipes that I have made in my air fryer. All right, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire. Welcome, come on in and make yourselves comfortable. I do a lot of cooking over here on this channel, and lately I've had some videos do really well with you guys that are for single servings. So if you're here for the single servings or like feeding 2 people instead of like a huge family, well then stick around, hit subscribe, because I just keep making these videos because you guys love them. So there will definitely be more to come. So today we're talking about desserts, and for desserts, I definitely wanted to use the air fryer because I really wanted to do like some cakey sort of situations. I will say though, you don't need an air fryer to do these recipes. You can use a regular oven or like a toaster oven or something like that as well. So if you don't have an air fryer, don't worry, this video is still for you. I also want to say that I am using a ramekin in this video in my air fryer, but you also don't need to go out and buy a ramekin if you don't want to. Mine are from the Food Network, and I will leave a link to them down below. I really like the size, and I use them in my air fryer all the time. However, you can also just get like little foil trays like at Dollar Tree, or honestly, hit up your local thrift store. There's usually, not even if you can't find a ramekin, you can find some sort of small bakeware, like Pyrex, even the Pyrex like food storage, the glass containers, those are oven safe. So, you know, don't worry if you don't have everything that I'm using. You can definitely make this work for you in your own way. And with that, let's get started with our single serving desserts. All right, we are starting with this delicious fudgy brownie. And all these ingredients, I'm sure you probably already have. We're gonna do 3 tablespoons of flour. We're also going to do 3 tablespoons of sugar. Honestly, I might just write these proportions down and stick them to my refrigerator so that I can do this in the night. Now I've got my baking cocoa powder. This is a tablespoon and a half, and I just eyeballed the half. You know, that's my vibe. And just a little bit of salt, not even enough to measure. And like half a teaspoon, I don't even know, some drops of vanilla extract, and 1 tablespoon of butter that I did melt. Now we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of milk, and that's it, that's our batter. And you'll notice we don't have egg in here because we couldn't use an entire egg, it would be too much. But I did experiment with this, and I found that you can still get a good fudgy consistency without an egg. It's definitely stodgier than like a normal cake, but I mean, maybe not quite as thick as a brownie you'd get with an egg in it, but it does the brownie thing, like don't worry. So I just put a little cooking spray on my ramekin, threw my batter in there, and of course I added little chocolate chips in there, just a little extra chocolateness, obviously. This is my air fryer. I got it at Aldi, so I cannot leave a link for you, but you know, go to the thrift store to get an air fryer. There are always tons of them there. I'm cooking this on 350. It's gonna take about 17 minutes, 15 to 17. I find that this little air fryer, it takes a little bit longer than some of the big fancy ones, but that's okay. Stick a toothpick in it, check on it. When it's ready, okay? And I, of course, wanted to enjoy this warm. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was so delicious. I was shocked at how easy this really was. And with like a glass of milk, or honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I ate this in the morning on this day. So I actually just had a warm brownie with my coffee, and 10 out of 10 would recommend that, I'm not gonna lie. Started the day off right. Next, I made this singular pineapple upside down cake. I'm very proud of this one, okay? Look how cute that is. We're using a box cake mix. We're keeping it simple. We're gonna use half a cup of cake mix. This cake mix is from Aldi, and it stores well. You can just put it right back in the cupboard and get it out when you wanna make this again. So we have half a cup of that. We also have 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, and we're also adding 3 tablespoons of milk. And that's it for the batter. Well, almost. You'll see in a second. That's it for now with the batter. When it comes to our pineapple, I'm just using, obviously, the pineapple rings and a maraschino cherry straight from a jar. Using that same ramekin again and layering it like so. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take about a teaspoon of that pineapple juice and put it in my batter just because I want it to be nice and pineapple-y. You could skip that if you wanted to, but I think that it made it also extra moist, which we love a moist cake. Sorry if I'm using that word too much. I know some people don't like it. Anyway, putting that on top of our fruit, and we are popping that in again, just like the brownie. I had this at 350 and it also took about 17 minutes. But you know, every air fryer is different. I couldn't believe how golden brown that came out. Stuck a toothpick in it, came out clean, perfection. Now, I was always taught that you let a pineapple upside down cake cool down upside down. So that's what I did. And oh, I wish you could have heard my audible gasp here. I was like, ah, when I opened it up because I was so thrilled that it worked so good. And you guys, it was a super, super moist cake. Like, it was really good. Like, this one really blew my mind. I'm not gonna lie, this was my first try. I managed to make this pineapple upside down cake on my very first try. It blew my mind. I was so happy with it. I will absolutely make this again. I'm a sucker for a pineapple upside down cake for sure. Next, you guys, look at this little peach pie. This is a little hand pie, and I am making the dough from scratch, and it is so ridiculously easy. It took a little trial and error, but I will share with you the successful one. We have 1 tablespoon of butter. It's cold. I chopped it up with a knife. And now I'm adding, again, 3 tablespoons of flour. That's like the magic flour number or something. 3 tablespoons of flour, and I'm gonna cut it in with my fingers. And basically, I'm just rubbing the butter into the flour. Be careful not to melt it with your hands. You're basically just trying to make it look like dusty little pebbles of butter, if that makes sense. And this is key if you want a flaky crust. So once it looks like that, we're gonna add cold water. We're gonna add 2 teaspoons. Depending, you know, you might need a little bit more. I think I dipped my fingers in the water once while I was like pulling the dough together. And really the key to a good pie crust here is you don't want to knead this. You don't want to separate that butter. You want the butter to stay a little bit chunky because that is what's going to give you those great flakes inside. It's because of that butter. So I'm just compressing it into a ball and patting it flat. I'm not like kneading it. And here's the key, you guys. This is the best idea I think I've ever had. I'm using a fruit cup for the inside because then I don't have to waste a whole can of like pie filling or other fruit. It's the perfect amount. I got it at Aldi. It's just regular peaches in juice. I'm adding half a tablespoon of brown sugar. You could make this a bit sweeter if you wanted to. I thought this was just the perfect amount of sweetness, but you know, you could go overboard if you wanted to. And now I'm going to roll out my little circle. I would say it was probably about 6 inches if I had to guess. But you know, make it whatever shape you want to. Do something fun with it. I don't know. You could make it like a McDonald's pie, make it like a little rectangle. But I just made mine into a circle. I threw my little sugary peaches. Notice how I mixed it in the container, so I did not even have to dirty another dish. And then I'm just gonna fold it over. I'm gonna pinch the little ends with my finger. I know some people are really good at like pie crust, pies in general, making really fancy little crimps on the edges and stuff. That person is not me. So I used a fork just to ensure our seal all the way around. I think it looks very homemade, very rustic. I think it's a total vibe. So, you know, go with what you want to. I'm going to put little slices in the top so that the steam can escape. And then this is totally optional. I'm doing an egg wash. I have a quail egg here. If you follow me, you might know I raise quail. It was the perfect little amount to do, but you could just use an egg if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. It's just, you know, to make it look kind of pretty. So skip that if you don't want to waste a whole egg just to wash one little pie. I did it anyway. And now we are going to bake this bad boy in the air fryer. Again, we are at 350. This took about 15 minutes, a little bit less than our cakes. But again, keep an eye on it. Keep your eye on your own air fryer. You know your own air fryer better than I do, so you know how it goes. I could not believe how tasty this smelled. Like, my house smelled like peaches, and I could not believe the proportions on that crust were perfect. I mean, look at the way that it just flakes. It just flakes right apart. Oh my goodness, and there isn't like a big air gap or anything in there. Like, this is a solid recipe, you guys. It was so, so tasty. And of course, I went to eat it and my husband was like, wait, what are you eating? What's that? Can I have one? And he also loved this pie and he was like, oh my gosh, I would take one of these in my lunch. And I was like, okay, maybe I should make a bunch of them. Maybe this is one that I don't make just for myself in the future because he loved it. It was so good. All right, and last we're doing one for the kids. Well, I mean, I also enjoyed it, but I made it for my kids. And I made this really delicious samora cup, and I'm not using a ramekin this time. I'm using these 2 mini ones. So they're each about half the size of my ramekin. So I'm making 2 servings here, but really most of these proportions you're gonna eyeball. The only thing you have to remember is for every 1 graham cracker, it's 1 tablespoon of butter. So I've got 2 graham crackers in here, and I'm just, you know, pounding them to make them into a lovely crumble. I'm going to melt my 2 tablespoons of butter, and this is going to be our little graham cracker crust. Mix that up. This is very minimal effort here, which I love. And now I'm splitting it between my 2 little mini ramekins. I think these are something like 4 ounces a piece. Like, they're small. You could definitely make, you know, this into one in my other ramekin. But my kids don't need that much. I'm using the back of my spoon to just press it down. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna be covered in chocolate and marshmallows anyway, so no biggie. And honestly, I was thinking you could put a Reese's peanut butter cup in there. You could put like a candy bar in there. I just went with some chocolate chips because I knew they'd melt nice. And then a handful of mini marshmallows on top, like the easiest thing. And honestly, you guys, this was so good, so simple, so sweet, but very delicious. And for this, you do not want those to burn. So bump your temperature down to 300, and these took about 8 minutes at 300, just enough for the top to get nice and brown and for the chocolate inside to get super melty and delicious. And my kids were like, oh my gosh, I want to eat it so bad. And I'm like, no, you're gonna burn your mouth. So they had to sit and wait, but it was really good. And especially in these months where we're inside now instead of out at the bonfire. I'm in Michigan. We've got a foot of snow right now. We get like a nice little campfire vibe. We were very excited. This was like a little right before bed treat, and my boys were ecstatic. Loved it. All right, you guys, those were my recipes. I hope you enjoyed them. I did put a little work into this one. I really experimented with my proportions, and yeah, I did actually these recipes quite a few times this week to make sure that they tasted right, they had a great texture, and I'm so pleased with how they all turned out. Leave me a comment below. Do you make desserts in your air fryer? Do you make desserts in other interesting appliances, rice cooker, slow cooker, etc.? I would love to hear it. And of course, let me know, are you gonna be trying any of these? Which one looked the most delicious to you? Which one are you gonna make? I would love to hear what you have to say. And of course, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and come on back for more of this type of content. I post 2 videos every single week. I'd love to have you. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!